The wedding hall was filled with golden lights, soft music, and the quiet buzz of wealthy guests chatting over champagne. Everything looked perfect, until the moment that shattered the entire room. A young bride in a beautiful white gown suddenly grabbed a large wedding cake and dumped it right onto the head of an elderly woman sitting quietly at the table. Laughter erupted from the bride and her friends, but the woman they humiliated was not just any guest. She was the groom's mother, and standing in the doorway at that exact moment was the groom himself. Before we begin this powerful story, take a second to support our channel. If you enjoy meaningful stories about kindness and life lessons, please like this video, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. You're watching Kindness Lights, where every story reminds us how a little kindness can change the world. Now, let's begin. Michael Carter had spent most of his life fighting to rise above poverty. Growing up in a small town in Ohio, life had never been easy for him or his mother. Linda Carter worked 2 jobs for nearly 20 years. She cleaned offices at night and worked at a grocery store during the day. Her hands were rough, her back often hurt, but she never complained. Everything she did was for Michael. She skipped meals so he could eat. She saved every dollar she could so he could go to college. When he doubted himself, she reminded him that he was capable of anything. Kindness always comes back to you, she used to say. No matter how hard life gets, Michael never forgot those words. Years later, they became reality through hard work and determination. Michael built a successful tech company. By the age of 35, he was a millionaire. His life changed completely. Luxury apartments, expensive cars, high-profile business meetings. But no matter how successful he became, he never stopped loving and respecting his mother. Then one day, Michael met Vanessa Blake. Vanessa came from wealth. Her father owned several real estate companies, and she had grown up surrounded by luxury. She was beautiful, confident, and charming. At least at first. Michael fell in love quickly, but Linda noticed something different. Vanessa rarely spoke to her kindly. She often made subtle remarks about Linda's simple clothes or the way she spoke. Michael deserves the best, Vanessa once said casually during dinner. Linda smiled politely and stayed quiet. She never wanted to cause problems for her son. Months passed, and Michael proposed. Vanessa immediately began planning the most extravagant wedding imaginable. A grand ballroom in New York City. Designer decorations. A guest list filled with wealthy friends and business partners. Everything had to be perfect, but there was one thing Vanessa clearly didn't want at the center of it all. Michael's mother Linda tried her best to stay out of the way during the wedding preparations. She offered to help, but Vanessa always brushed her off. "Oh, it's handled," she would say with a tight smile. Still, Linda was excited for her son's big day. She carefully picked out a modest red dress, nothing fancy, but something she felt proud to wear. The wedding day arrived. The ballroom looked breathtaking. Crystal chandeliers sparkled above elegant tables covered in white roses. Guests in expensive suits and gowns filled the room. Linda sat quietly near the front, smiling as she watched everything unfold. She felt proud. Her son had come so far. Vanessa entered the reception with dramatic flair, surrounded by her glamorous bridesmaids. Cameras flashed everywhere. Then came the moment that would change everything. Vanessa noticed Linda sitting at the table. She leaned toward her bridesmaids and whispered something. Suddenly, the women burst into laughter. Vanessa walked toward Linda, holding the large wedding cake that had just been cut for photos. Guests assumed she was about to do a playful wedding tradition, but what happened next shocked the entire room. Vanessa lifted the cake high, and slammed it straight onto Linda's head. Frosting and cake pieces covered Linda's face and hair. The elderly woman gasped in shock, trying to wipe icing from her eyes. Vanessa and her friends pointed and laughed loudly. "Look at her," one of them said. "Maybe she'll finally look fancy." Another joked. Some guests laughed awkwardly. Others sat frozen in disbelief. Linda sat there silently, humiliated in front of hundreds of people. Then the ballroom doors opened. Michael had just returned from a brief meeting with his wedding planner, and the first thing he saw was his mother covered in cake, trembling while people laughed. The room slowly fell silent as he walked forward. "Mom, what happened?" he asked softly. Linda tried to smile. "It's nothing, sweetheart," she said quietly. But Michael looked around the room and saw the truth written on everyone's faces. His eyes slowly turned toward Vanessa. "Did you do this?" he asked. Vanessa shrugged with a careless laugh. "Oh, relax, Michael. It was just a joke." A heavy silence filled the ballroom. Michael looked at his mother again. She was trying to wipe frosting from her dress while keeping her dignity. Something inside him broke. For years, Linda had sacrificed everything for him. She had worked herself to exhaustion so he could have a future, and this was how she was treated. Michael turned back to Vanessa. This wedding is over. The words echoed through the room. Vanessa's smile disappeared. What? She snapped. You heard me, Michael said calmly. Anyone who humiliates my mother has no place in my life. Guests began whispering. Vanessa's face turned red with anger. You're choosing her over me. Michael didn't hesitate. I'm choosing kindness over cruelty. He walked to his mother and gently helped her stand. Come on, Mom. Let's go home. The two of them walked out of the grand ballroom together. The wedding never happened. News of the incident quickly spread among their social circles. Many people who had once admired Vanessa began seeing her differently, but something unexpected happened next. Michael's story inspired thousands of people online. People admired the way he stood up for his mother. They admired that he valued kindness more than money, status, or appearances. Months later, Michael used part of his fortune to start a foundation in his mother's name. The Linda Carter Kindness Foundation helped elderly people struggling with loneliness and poverty. Linda herself volunteered there every week. She greeted every person with warmth, kindness, and a smile. One afternoon, Michael visited the center and watched his mother helping an elderly woman who looked lost and nervous. Linda held the woman's hands and spoke gently to her, and in that moment, Michael realized something powerful. His mother had never been poor. She had always been rich in the most important way, kindness, and that kindness had shaped the man he became. Kindness doesn't require wealth, beauty, or power. Sometimes it simply means standing up for someone who cannot stand up for themselves.